Okay, we're calling the meeting to order. So please stop talking. Let's have some quiet. The Design Review Board meeting is called to order. Welcome to the Design Review Board hearing for June 26, 2025. Before we do the pledge, I want to note that Jim Campbell's last meeting is tonight, and his last week with the city is, I think, next week. So he's done a great job, and he's really, I think, helped the Design Review Board process, the planning process. At a time it was sorely needed. I've worked with him closely, as have other members, and Jess when she was chair. And I've got to say, I appreciate the work you've done, the transparency, the input, and even though we don't always agree, that input is really important. And I speak on behalf of the board, thank you for your service.
Well, thank you, Chair Gibbs. I appreciate it. I've been with the city for 5 months. Next week will be my last week. I was brought on board to kind of help transition and to then be here while we hired Bill. I've worked with Bill for the last 2 months, and I will tell you, you're going to be well served by Mr. Rodriguez here. And so I've really appreciated the time and working with the board, and I'm going to go back to retirement. So.
Well,
anyway, but thank you. Appreciate
enjoy, but don't enjoy too much, you know. Yeah, we'll be calling. Okay, since you are retiring again, and this is your last meeting, could you lead the pledge?
Certainly. All right. Please repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, now can we do the roll call, please?
Board Member Bauta?
Yes.
Board Member Coveney?
Here.
Board Member Weil?
Yes.
Chair Pro Tem Gannon? Here. Chair Gibbs?
Here. All right, before we get into it, I'm going to describe the procedure. The meeting will begin with public comment on an item that's not on the agenda, but within our purview. We will then go to the consent calendar. After that, the board will determine whether there is any appropriate modification in the order of the agenda that would be appropriate. Then we will go to the regular order of business. I will introduce an item, the address and design review number and other requests for approvals. The applicants will take the seat at the front desk here. Staff will present a summary presentation of the project. The board will have an opportunity to ask staff questions. The public hearing will then be declared open with the applicant having 5 minutes to make a presentation, after which the public will have the right to address us at the podium there. In general, it will be 3 minutes for each person. I will really try to stick to those time periods so that we can get through everyone. Then the applicant team will have 3 minutes rebuttal. At that point, the board will have the opportunity to ask questions of the applicant, potentially members of the public or staff. After the questioning, I will declare the public hearing closed, and the board will proceed with deliberations and any appropriate decision. Any decision by the board is done by way of a motion, a second, and then a roll call vote. If any person residing within 300 feet of the project who disagrees with the board's decision will have the opportunity to file an appeal within 14 days. So with that, we will start with public communications on an item that's not on the agenda. Anyone desiring to do so, please come to the podium. Yes.
Good evening. My name's Dan Schultes, and I live at 1035 on Balboa Avenue. And I'm not sure if I'm in the right place for this, but I was wondering if it's okay to build a structure on public property.
All right, we're not answering any questions, and I
Oh,
suggest
okay.
you direct your questions to planning.
I've directed my questions to the city council, and no one's returned my calls or my emails. I've made a complaint with the building department. Nobody answered my complaint. It's a storage unit that's been built on the on public land on the beach in front of the Montage. And nobody's doing anything about it.
Correct, Chair. If I may, and sir, thank you very much for your comment
Okay.
tonight. We are aware of the situation. We are currently in conversations with the California Coastal Commission as well as other possible code enforcement. Totally understand your frustration with the timing. Like all things, it does take a little bit of time. But we are very much aware of it and functioning on it.
It's been 6 weeks and no one's returned my calls or emails. So, yeah, and I've called the Coastal Commission too. So, does anybody here can answer my question or?
Yeah, we're not in a position to answer that question. That's something for planning. And I think you heard what the city council said.
No, they
City
didn't say
attorney,
anything.
city attorney, I meant. Council, I'm
Assistant
an
city
attorney
attorney.
too, and council is what we refer to as lawyers, but not city council. So anyway, that's the best we can do for you for right now. Okay, thank you very much.
Contact them, staff can follow up.
All righty. Any other members of the public wish to talk? Seeing none, we'll proceed to the consent calendar. The consent calendar consists of item 4.1, which is for the approval of the minutes for 2 meetings of the board, April 24, 2025 and May 8, 2025. I will open the public hearing for anybody who wishes to comment on the minutes. Seeing none, I close the public hearing. Before we do a vote, I want to make one short comment. The board received an email from Bill Gable about the minutes of the April 24 meeting. In those minutes, he states that I said the project would approved at the site inspection. And I want to clear the record. I never said that, nor would I say that. The process is that the board, when they do site inspections, are there to evidence gather. And then the hearing here is to evidence gather. Once we close the public hearing, after everyone's had an opportunity to speak and present evidence, we do deliberations. It's not until at that point that the board, including myself, makes any decisions. So I did want to clear the record. With that, I move that the board approve the minutes, item 4.1 for the minutes of April 24, 2025 and May 8, 2025.
Can we split those up? I'm gonna have to be abstained for the May 8th because I was not in attendance.
We can take the.
Correct, yeah, Chair, if I may.
Separately.
Yeah, so during the roll call vote, you can just say however you want to vote and then abstain from whatever one you want to.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
A roll call, please.
Board Member Balta,
I'd like to approve the April 24 meeting minutes and abstain from the May 8th meeting minutes.
and Board Member Coveney,
Yes.
Board Member Weil,
Yes, for both.
Chair Pro Tem Gannon,
Yes.
Chair Gibbs.
Yes. All right, we will go on to item 5.1, which is a recommendation. Well, first it's for 945 Rembrandt Drive Design Review 25-0614, revocable encroachment permit 25-0616. Staff recommendation is to continue the item to July 10, 2025. Is anyone here for the applicant? Seeing none, I open the public hearing for any the public that wishes to comment on this item? Pardon me? Just to get the, is there someone? Okay, and so I close the public hearing. And is there any deliberations or a motion?
Chair, I'll move item number 5.1 for the continuance to July 10th, 2025.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Board Member Bauta,
Yes.
Board Member Coveney,
Yes.
Board Member Weil,
Yes.
Chair Pro Tem Gannon,
Yes.
Chair Gibbs.
Yes. Okay, that brings us to item 5.2. This is 475 Legion Street Design Review 25-1080. The applicant can come up to the table. First, we'll do ex parte.
Hello.
Chair, I visited the site and analyzed the project from the street.
I also visited the site.
Chair, I visited a site and spoke with the applicant.
Visited the site.
And I visited the site. You can sit down, please. Can we do a expedited? We could go with expedited, please. So go ahead, staff.
Seeing that this is my second DRB meeting, I'm not sure what expedited means. Could someone explain that to me?
You don't need to go through the whole project, just a brief summary.
Okay,
Make a
sure.
brief description and staff recommendation.
Yeah, that would be great. I'll go to the plans real quick. So this is a site at 475 Legion. Pretty simple project. It's a swimming pool and a spa. We're looking at a combined about 22,000 gallon spa and pool combined with associated equipment. The pool equipment is on the side of the property. It still meets the setbacks. It will comply with all noise requirements once that goes through the building plan check level. The staff has analyzed the applicant's request, the city's development standards, and determined that the project conforms to the zoning code. We have not received any comments as of yet. So with that, we are recommending approval of the
That was a
resolution.
perfect, great expedited summary. Thank you. All right, applicant has 5 minutes.
At 475 Legion and anticipating approval.
Okay, I forgot to say I'm opening the public hearing. Any of the public wish to speak on this item? Seeing none, I'm returning it to you for 3 minutes. You have anything more to say?
No.
Okay, I close the public hearing. Any deliberations?
I think this project meets the criteria for approval tonight.
Yeah, and I do too. I mean, I think this is meets all the guidelines and it is totally approvable. Any other deliberations?
I can echo what you said and what Board Member Balta said.
I concur with my fellow board members.
And Lewis?
Yeah, I concur. I mean, the project's compatible. It's small in nature. It, pool is appropriate for the site, the location they've selected for everything. The one thing that I did have a question is normally for pools and spas with equipment, we have a standard condition in there for the hours of turning it on and off.
It's in there.
Is it? I was just missing it last
It's
time,
in.
It's in there.
but I was just wanted to confirm that it's in there.
Okay, a motion?
Chair, I motion to approve 5.2 located at 475 Legion Street with the proposed resolution in the staff report.
I'll second. Can we do a roll call, please?
Board Member Bauta,
Yes.
Board Member Coveney,
Yes.
Board Member Weil,
Yes.
Chair Pro Tem Gannon,
Yes.
Chair Gibbs.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Nice hand drawings.
Yeah. All right, I am calling item 5.3. Can the applicant come to the table? This is for 2729 Victoria Drive, Design Review 25-0347 and Coastal Development Permit 25-0348. Ex parte, please.
Chair, I did a site visit with you and with Michael Sanchez.
And I spoke with Michael, and went by the site.
I did a site visit at the neighbor's home, UB, and also met with Mikhail and visited a site.
Visited the site, spoke with the applicant team on the phone, and then reviewed the materials and the correspondence.
And I visited the site with the Pro Tem Chair and spoke at the site with Michael Sanchez. With that, staff?
Thank you so much. Item 5.3 is a request for design review and a coastal development permit at 2729 Victoria Drive, which is in the R1 zone. The 3,020 square foot subject property slopes downward from Victoria Drive with a 39% slope. The site contains a 1,573 square foot, 3-level, single-family dwelling and an attached one-car garage. The proposed project includes interior remodel and 400 square feet of additions on 3 levels at the rear of the structure. The existing asphalt shingle roofing would be replaced with standing seam copper roofing with a patina finish. The front elevation will be modified to include stained wood horizontal shiplap siding, brick accents, and new craftsman-style garage door. The rear elevation will include off-white stucco finish and glass deck railings, and new composite fencing, decking, and stairs will be installed. And a swimming pool is proposed on the lower level deck. The existing decks on the 3 levels at the rear of the structure will be demolished and reconstructed. At the lowest level, it will be extended an additional 10 feet from the location of the existing deck, which will align with the decks on the adjacent properties. At the mid-level, the living area will be extended approximately 8 feet, and the deck will be extended an additional 8 feet from the existing deck. And then at the street level, the living area will be extended approximately 3 feet, 7 inches from the existing wall, and the deck will be an additional 5 feet, 6 inches from the existing deck. So the overall deck area will be increased by about 134 square feet. The additions including its windows and doors will face the rear of the property, and no new window openings are proposed on the side elevations. Adjacent residences on each side of the subject property have elevated decks on multiple floor levels at the rear of those structures as well, and they extend further to the southeast than those on the project site. A letter was received from the adjacent property owner to the northeast expressing concerns regarding privacy from the proposed decks that will be parallel with the primary bedroom window and the living room window. And the existing upper level deck is at a slightly lower elevation than the neighbor's deck on the adjacent property to the northeast, as you can see on the photo to the left. As stated, a pool is proposed on the lowest level deck, and the applicant is proposing the installation of wood slats, which will extend to the grade under the deck to screen the bottom of the pool from the adjacent properties and also from Ward's Terrace below. The pool equipment will also be screened, and with the wood slats. The adjacent neighbor had also raised concerns regarding the location of the pool relative to their bedrooms and the potential noise from the pool equipment. The project is conditioned to limit the operation of the pool equipment from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., and the equipment is required to conform to the city's noise limitations, which will be verified prior to the issuance of building permits. If the board finds that the project meets all applicable design criteria, including for privacy and for the swimming pool, staff recommends the board adopt Resolution 25-0347, approving Design Review 25-0347 and Coastal Development Permit 25-0348, and finding said action exempt from CEQA. This concludes staff's presentation, and we're available for any questions.
And thank you, Heather. Excellent summary as always. Any questions for Heather? Seeing none, I open the public hearing. You have 5 minutes.
I think Heather did a pretty good job explaining the project. I have nothing else to add.
Okay. At that point, I will open any member of the public wish to speak. Come up now. Seeing none, I return to the applicant. 3 minutes. I assume you don't have anything further to say.
No, I'm still good. Thank you.
All righty. Any questions of the board?
I've got a question for the applicant. The neighbor, UB Kerr, was hoping to get a hold of you. Were you able to speak with him over the course of the last 48 hours?
I was not able to get a hold of him, no.
I think that he raised some concerns on privacy. Have you prepared any updates to anything tonight?
I have not prepared any updates for that. As far as a rebuttal to that, it would be what Heather showed in the picture of from the height of our deck compared to the elevation of the bedroom that he's concerned about, along with the fact that our deck is not actually going to be protruding out to the point where you'd be able to see into his bedroom. And I think that was kind of the other one was that he was bringing up was the noise concern about the pool equipment, but that's why we added the screening. But as far as a solution to his privacy concern, we don't have one, but we are willing to work with the city or with UB to figure out a solution.
Thank you.
Any other questions? With that, I close the public hearing. Deliberations. Who wishes to begin?
I'll go on that. So on that note, I didn't see a privacy concern when I was there because like Heather presented the elevation, your project is sitting well below that window in question. So I think if anything, they have a privacy situation on you guys. But if you guys are okay with that, I'm okay with it. Also for the pool and spa, I think it meets the design review criteria. It's vaulted. There's not going to be any noise. And you also have it positioned at the center of the property. And again, it's vaulted. So I can approve this project.
MJ?
I concur.
I wanted to wake you up, but just kidding.
Member Gannon, thank you for the screening with the mechanics. That's always helpful in such a tight space. I concur with Heather's assessment. I think it was very spot on, and I don't really see a privacy issue. It's in keeping with the house and the other decks adjacent on both sides. So I can support the project tonight.
Emir, you want to go next?
I'll wait if that's all right. Louis, you can go.
Louis?
Yeah, and I concur with the staff report and my fellow colleagues that the project is design review compatible. I think Heather did a nice job in the presentation, especially with the aerial photo. That's what I saw, is that pretty much all these kind of smaller lots right on Victoria Beach, there are all these kind of boxes, multiple levels, and they all have decks on the end. That to restrict this property, it's already tucked in and already restricted compared to where the lines of the other ones are. I don't see that the decks create any new privacy difference than what's there in the existing kind of configuration. It just kind of changes the location a little bit. But I think to deny this project would be, to deny this property the right of enjoyment that the neighboring properties have. So I'm fully supportive of the project.
All right. Do you want me to go?
I could go. Yeah, I could come around to the project. I just wish that there was some more dialogue that was had. So I just wanted to communicate that out. It feels like something could have been done in the form of like a privacy screen that would, protect both parties. I think it's definitely warranted here, even if it's taken further down the line for convenience. Maybe that's a discussion you could have with him. I agree with my fellow board members here, and I think this can get approved tonight.
Okay, I'm not going to add very much except 2 points. One is, and by the way, I concur with my colleagues. What is being done with your house is to make it compatible with others, and you could have gone a lot further. I think it's a very modest and less impactful on the neighbor's house than the neighbor's houses are on your house. And for that reason, and I think that bears on privacy too, because there's not a lot of privacy there on the decks. It's just the reality of that particular location in Victoria Beach. And so I concur with Mr. Weil. Statement to deny this would be to deny you privileges that virtually every other house on that hill enjoys. So I can approve the project as well. So with that,
on that note, I'll call item number 5.3 to the board approves design review, adopts resolution number 25-0347, approving design review 25-0347 and coastal development permit 25-0348 for an upper level addition, elevated deck additions, new pool, change of roof material, exterior materials for existing single family dwelling, and finding said action exempt to section 15301 of CEQA guidelines.
A second.
roll call, please.
Board Member Bauta?
Yes.
Board Member Coveney?
Yes.
Board Member Weil?
Yes.
Chair Pro Tem Gannon?
Yes.
Chair Gibbs?
Yes. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, the next item is 5.4, 1160 Skyline Drive. Can the applicant come to the table, please? It's Design Review 25-0978, Coastal Development Permit 25-1029. Ex parte, please.
But with the applicant on site, took a site visit.
And I corresponded with the applicant and went by the property.
And I did a site visit and corresponded with Mr. Blakemore.
Met with Mr. Blakemore at the site and then reviewed some of the late correspondent emails.
And I met with Mr. Blakemore at the site. With that, can we have the staff report, please?
Yes, good evening, Chair Gibbs and members of the Design Review Board. I'm Jessica Mendoza, and item 5.4 is a request for approval of Design Review 25-0978 located at 1160 Skyline Drive. This request is for elevated decks, gratings, retaining walls, new windows and doors, and modifications to the exterior finishes and roof material. Also mentioning that a coastal development permit is required for the proposed EDU, and it's also exempt from design review. To begin, the project is located in the R1 zone. It currently features an existing 1,690 square foot, two-story single-family residence with an attached garage and carport. The following elements of the project are what require design review. As stated before, these would be the new elevated decks, grading, retaining walls, new windows and doors, and modifications to the exterior finishes and roofing material. Again, I'd like to mention that a coastal development permit is required for the new detached accessory dwelling unit. And the detached ADU is exempt from design review. In the next several slides, I will be presenting just what's proposed, beginning with the first slide before you. Upper level modifications do include the new upper level deck and also the addition that's located within the residential roof line of the living area. As you can see, it's shaded in yellow. The next slide is the elevation modification seen directly from Skyline Drive. This elevation view is of the main residence, highlighting the proposed exterior modifications. As you can see on the left side of the slide, the updates do include the windows, the garage door, the addition of the privacy screen for the carport that's currently existing, and the new deck. The proposed materials do range from a wood siding trim and fascia and treated wood privacy screen for the carport, as well as a standing seam metal roof. And also it was noted that the standing seam metal roof will have a matte finish to minimize any type of glaring. The next slide is just the areas of the grading for the proposed ADU. Along with the deck that was mentioned per the staff report, and that these sections are highlighted on the slide in yellow. And I just wanted to show on this slide where the location of the detached ADU is going to be located. And the project is in compliance with the design review guidelines and meets the findings. The proposed project does not impair any views, privacy, and will be compatible with the types of scale improvements present in the neighborhood. And with that being said, staff does recommend that the Design Review Board adopt Resolution 25-1089, approving Design Review 25-1089 and Coastal Development Permit 25-1029, and finding said action exempt from CEQA. And this concludes my presentation. I am available for any questions.
Thank you, Jessica. Does the board have any questions? Seeing none, applicant has 5 minutes.
Good evening, board members. Michael Blakemore, the project architect, and with me is Tony Sine. He's the property owner. I think Jessica's presentation really covered what this project is all about. It's a pretty small project. The change in the materials for the existing building, we're getting the proposed ADU and the existing building to talk to one another so that they look the same and they feel like they're of the same family. In terms of grading on the site, yes, we do have to cut a pad in for the ADU, and we do have to do some grading for retaining walls that are existing, but they're really not of any substantial nature and aren't really retaining much. So we're going to put true retaining walls in. So we'll have to go ahead and do grading for that. But beyond that, that's really the sum of the whole project. Thank you.
Thank you. Now it's time for any members of the public who wish to speak. We'll have the opportunity. Seeing no one, I return to you. You have 3 more minutes.
I don't think I really have anything else to add. I'm open for questions.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions?
One question, the fire access on the current property, does it meet the current standards, and is the new proposal to kind of get us there?
Yeah, it doesn't meet the current standards. A fireman couldn't get through between the retaining wall and the existing structure. It's only about 2 feet wide, and a minimum is 3 feet. So we're actually pushing it to 5 feet. So there's plenty of room to get through there. So there'll be 360 degrees of access around the existing house and also around the ADU. It's going to have the same access.
Any other questions? All right, I'm going to close the public hearing and I'll begin this one. First of all, dealing with the house remodel, I think it's modest. I think it's it's appropriate, well articulated, clearly within the neighborhood compatibility, and doesn't create any privacy or view equity concerns as far as I could say. So I don't have a problem with that and could approve it. The issue is the ADU. Under the coastal development permit, the required finding for finding 1 criteria 6 reads, the proposed development will be visually compatible with the character of surrounding areas and where feasible will restore and enhance visual quality in visually degraded areas. The ADU is very large and it's visible from the street. And it makes potentially for a mass and scale that creates something that's not visually compatible within the neighborhood. I don't make a decision on that. I say the potential. It is very large. It extends from the house and creates what could look like the longest street front house in the community. I'm also concerned about neighbor notice. This was not staked, and I understand it was not required to be staked, but we can, as a board, ask you to stake it. I am concerned that neighbors and people in the community don't have an idea that there's an ADU going in there. Now, I know it's in the staff report and the agenda, but most people learn about a project and the scope of the project simply from the staking. And if they see what is a modest project and that's all they think, they don't bother with more. I'm concerned that the public has not had an opportunity to see the visual impact of the ADU in order to be able to come here and provide us comment and input. So kind of from a due process level as well as of equal importance, I cannot make a determination of visual compatibility that's required for that finding for the coastal development permit in this case, not in all cases, but in this case, unless I see it staked. So and I'm interested in what my board members have to say. My preference on this one is to continue it, to be staked, and then return with the staking so that the public can see it and be able to have the opportunity to comment, and we can see it so we can fairly evaluate and make a determination on that coastal development permit finding.
I'd like to go after that. I agree with everything that you had to say about the existing home. It meets the design review criteria and it's very modest in nature. As far as the ADU, it's a single-story ADU. It doesn't have to be staked. As far as your claim for it's not compatible, just drive around the bend and you'll see the neighborhood compatibility. There's single-story homes that are bigger than this ADU, so I find it neighborhood compatible. It doesn't require staking. It's a single-story ADU. It meets all the intent of the general plan, and I can approve this project.
Yeah, I wanted to add on, Chair Gibbs, if you remember, we had a ADU case off of Browncroft maybe a few months ago, and they weren't required to stake it as well. The only thing they staked were some adjustments, or they identified some adjustments at the curb line. It was just off of Browncroft.
I remember, yeah.
So, kind of a similar case there. Obviously, it's not up a hill, which is down a hill, would affect less visual aspects of it, but to that degree, I would agree with Jess on the ADU not needing to be staked. I think there's a dire need for housing in this community and all communities on the coast here. I think this is a solution to that. It's a detached ADU, standalone ADU. Some of the cases we see are, slightly modified home extensions, and they're skirting those into their rules. So I think this is true to nature for ADU law. They want a unit, they have access to unit, they have private access to it. So I think this fits the realm of what the state and local ordinances are trying to accomplish. I agree with what Jess said on the existing home. I think it meets the criteria, and I could approve this tonight.
You're up. MJ.
Thank you. I concur with what my colleagues have said here. I think it's a courtesy to stake, and I think it would have been nice to see. However, when I look at your materials, it's a single story. The only concern I have is it kind of has a trailer vibe because of its longness, but I understand the limits of your lot, that requires it to kind of curve around like that. I'm just wondering if there's some element that could break up that long kind of, like I said, looks like a double wide in a very beautiful way. In a kind of a Luna Beach kind of cottagey vibe thing. I don't know if there's, and that, I know I didn't mean that. I don't want to that's the only concern I have. And so I'm going to withhold, I want to hear what Louis has to say here, but that's where I'm at. But otherwise, your main house, I think your materials are great. The making use of that side for decking is perfect, and picking better windows for the view to capture that view even more is great. I just have a little concern with the size of this.
I'd like to kindly remind the board that the design review criteria is not to be
Isn't
the
the look.
ADU. Yeah.
Okay. But it is with the
Visual
compatibility.
compatibility.
But that's what I'm saying.
So again, that allows us to evaluate all aspects of visual compatibility. It's quite broad, and ADUs are subject to that. So, Louis?
Yeah. Again, to reiterate what the colleagues were saying, the lipstick to the main house and the deck configuration and the carport are completely compatible. I agree with my colleagues. The fact that you're kind of enclosing it to keep it a little more screened, you're giving the garage a little more flair, and it ties the whole thing in together nicely. It's very nice refresh, and the integrity of the design makes the old home fresher. As far as the ADU's coastal development permit, I do usually agree with Chair Gibbs on, needing to make this finding, as it is a crucial part to maintain the right kind of development within our coastal zones. As it applies to this project, I think the unique circumstance that it's a large lot, and to deprive the ADU of this, especially one of a property that down the street, there's 5 homes on your side of the street, up the street, there's 3 more homes. You're right in the middle of it. I think if more things were to change, the development could be much worse. And so I think this development, being a single level, just tucked up on the hill, ties into the main house, adds to the characteristics of the view equity, because it's not, the property doesn't, or the project doesn't exceed the roof, the ridge of the hill, and it just kind of carefully cuts in a little bit, and it overhangs a little bit. And so from that, it was a careful selection on the design team's project. parcel. And so for those reasons, I can support and make the findings that this is compatible, given the nature of the homes on that side of the street. We got comments on traffic and all those other things. Those things don't apply to ADU expansions. So I just wanted to note that. And to deny this would deny you the right to develop an ADU. And I think this is an appropriate site and an appropriate application.
Okay, it's very clear. Just so my understanding is known, if that finding can be made without staking, which I think 4 members here have said that it can, that's so totally within the purview of the board and the board members. Where it cannot be made, that finding without a visual staking, we have the power to do the staking. Here, I think that there is a strong feeling among the board that the finding can be made without staking. And with that, do we have a motion?
Do I need to clarify my comments, or am I?
Oh, no, I didn't.
I just want to make sure that I'm clear,
You
because
have more comment?
I think that, the only thing I would say is, I see why you built it like this, and I don't want to seem disrespectful. I hope that didn't sound bad, because it's going to be lovely. And I appreciate Lewis's comments. I think they help clarify it for me. And I would just, what was I going to say? There was something important I was going to say. Just don't put any like grills out front or something. I'm kidding. I'm just just absolutely picking on you.
Go ahead.
The trash cans that are down at the street level, is that an enclosure and a cabinet?
Closed, you won't.
Okay, is there a roof on it?
There could be.
I would encourage that, because there are homes that are towering up that are like the one next to you. The reason I can support view equity on the overall project is because really they're looking straight down the street because of the bend in the street, but their house towers up and they'll be looking down at this. Plus the ones across the street are a little higher. They'll be looking down to those trash cans. So if there can be a lid on that, I'd add that as a condition.
Okay, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion for item 5.4, design review 250978, coastal development permit 251029 for 1160 Skyline Drive, for a structural addition with existing roof line, new elevated decks, retaining walls, new windows and doors, and modifications to exterior, as well as an accessory dwelling, which is not in design review purview. It is also exempt from CEQA section 15301. And 15303.
You got to add the condition.
Oh, gosh, with Ms. Board Member Wiles' insightful putting a lid on the construction structure
Enclosure.
condition of approval.
I'll second that.
Roll call, please.
Board Member Bauta,
Yes.
Board Member Coveney.
Yes.
Board Member Weil,
Yes.
Chair Pro Tem Gannon.
Yes.
Chair Gibbs.
No. With that, we go to congratulations.
Thank
the
you very
project
much.
approved.
Appreciate your time and thoughtful comments.
All righty, so the next item is 5.5, and that's 639 Pearl Street. Can the applicant come up to the table? Let's do ex parte, please.
Chair, I did a site visit. Oh, and I conversed with Julie Lofton.
Jared did a site visit with Julie Lawton.
Site visit, spoke to Julie Lawton, went by the site, and I've been to the site before.
Really?
When were you there?
Spoke with Julie and went by the site.
And I did the same. I think we can do a expedited, is that? Mr. Khan, you can do an expedited summary.
It's just a moment.
Good evening, board members. Item 5.5 is Design Review 250785, a proposal for an upper level addition and remodel of an existing single-family home, along with the expansion of an existing elevated deck. The property is located in the R1 zone at 639 Pearl Street. Proposed improvements as illustrated in the image. Seems to be a delay here. As illustrated in the image are situated on the west-facing side of the residence and conform to all applicable setback requirements. The applicant proposes a reduced scope. I would like to make a clarification. The notice that went out initially included an ADU, which has since been removed from the scope of work. Some of the discrepancies were carried over into the staff report, including some inaccurate square footages. The applicant now proposes a reduced square footage of a 597 square feet first floor remodel, a 45 square feet upper level addition, and a 27 square foot expansion of the elevated ocean facing deck. The addition includes a bedroom, ensuite bathroom, walk-in closet, office, and the proposed upper level addition matches the style using the same colors and materials. Although the roof is redesigned, it retains the hip configuration, and the top of the ridge of height, it remains unchanged. Proposed project complies with the zoning standards, design review criteria, and the general plan. And staff recommends that the board conduct a public hearing and by motion adopt resolution 25-1785 approving design review 25-1785 and finding said action exempt from CEQA. Staff has not received any public correspondence regarding the project, and this concludes staff's report and available for questions.
Yes, could you just state the actual proposed square footage again? I didn't get that.
So the upper level addition is 485 square feet. The lower level remodel is 597 square feet, and the deck expansion is 27 square feet.
Okay, and the lower level doesn't have any increase in size, any expansion, correct?
No, it's just an interior remodel.
Interior remodel. Okay, any other questions? Applicant, I open the public hearing. You have 5 minutes.
I'd just like to say this was the most enjoyable experience I've ever had having my plans approved thanks to Sherry. I just want to give him a little round of applause. It was, we had a lot of changes and a lot of back and forth, and it became now a modest remodel. And the good part is that it's actually all still in the same footprint of the upstairs. So it's just improving the space that couldn't be used up there. So Sherry described it well. I love the look of this house. It's one of my favorite styles, and it's seamless. So that's all I have.
Okay, any members of the public wish to speak on this project? Seeing none, you have 3 more minutes if you want them.
I think I'm good.
All right, any questions of the applicant? Seeing none, close the public hearing. Who wants to start?
I just want to start by saying this part of Pearl Street's probably one of the coolest little spots in all of Laguna. I mean, the big lots, the backyards and that kind of thing. I remember being in the home when the neighbors were going through their kind of construction, and you guys were talking about this deck and how that would kind of come forward, and we kind of considered that in elements of how we did the neighbors project. And so I find the whole project to be neighborhood compatible. Design review, the criteria are fully met. The articulation just enhances the characteristics of the home. It's a beautiful little touch up, and I hope you enjoy the new space.
And I can echo what board member Weil just said verbatim, that I remember visiting that home and it was really an odd space. It wasn't, the airspace had bigger potential, and you brought this potential to us tonight. So congratulations. I look forward to seeing the final product.
MJ?
I concur with my colleagues. These enhancements seem really appropriate and definitely meet design review criteria, and I get behind the project tonight.
Emer?
I concur with my colleagues. Beautiful design, Julie.
Thank you.
Okay, my comments, one of the joys of being on the board is to be able to see properties like this one. There's several properties on Pearl or in that area off of Center that are big lots that you would never know from the street. And this, I've been to several of them, and this one is particularly special. It's just gorgeous. So I had to comment. Yeah, the upper level addition, modest elevated deck, doesn't impact anybody easily meets all the guidelines. And with respect to the water course, it's not impacted. It's 60 feet away. So I can approve the project. Do we have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to adopt Resolution 25-1785, approving design review 25-1785, and finding said action exempt from CEQA.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Board Member Bauta,
Yes.
Board Member Coveney.
Yes.
Board Member Weil,
Yes.
Chair Pro Tem Gannon.
Yes.
Chair Gibbs.
Yes. All right, congratulations. Enjoy.
Thank you.
The next project is 5.6. Can the applicant please come to the front desk? This is 1377 Dunning Drive, Design Review 25-0806, Coastal Development Permit 25-0807. Ex parte.
Chair, I did a site visit and analyzed this project from the street.
Site visit.
I did a site visit. I met with the homeowner and yeah.
Went by the site and spoke to the applicant.
Site visit.
I did a site visit and spoke with the applicant and the owners.
Chair, I'll call for an expedited hearing on this one.
I'm good with that. You're up.
Good evening, board members. Item 5.6 is a design review 25-0806 and coastal development permit 25-0807, proposal for an upper level addition and remodel of an existing single-family dwelling, along with the expansion of an existing elevated deck. An attached ADU is also proposed, which is not subject to design review, but requires a coastal development permit. Property is located in the R1 zone at 1377 Dunning Drive. The proposed improvements, as illustrated in the image, are situated on the rear east-facing side of the residence and conform to all applicable setback requirements. The applicant proposes a 352 square foot upper level addition, a 375 square foot expansion of the existing elevated deck, 10 square foot extension of an elevated catwalk, and the construction of a new exterior staircase providing access to the expanded deck, and an interior remodel of the existing residence. Proposed improvements have been carefully designed to match the existing residence in both color and material. All new elements will use the same palette and finishes to ensure a seamless and cohesive integration with the original architecture. The project meets design review criteria and coastal development permit findings. Staff recommends that the board conduct a public hearing and by motion adopt resolution 25-0806 and approving design review 25-0806 and coastal development permit 25-0807.
Okay,
And
just
findings that action exempt from CEQA.
thank you.
Joe, our monitors went off. If you can check those.
All the board members. Okay, thank you. Any questions of staff? No questions. Applicant, you have 5 minutes.
All right, turned it off. There we go. Steve Smith, the applicant. I brought with me the architect for any questions, and also the owner is also here. I have nothing to add. We've been working with our planner, and he did a great job. Thanks.
Okay. Any members of the public wish to speak on this item? Seeing none, you have 3 minutes.
I'll just say very briefly, it's a treat to be here tonight. I've had many projects that have tried to get to the DRB, and for one reason or another, they haven't made it. So I really appreciate your time. And I'll just say very briefly that we worked hard to keep it compatible with the existing home. And there's a lot of different pieces of this project. So hopefully that showed through in the graphics that were provided. Thank you.
Thank you. I close the public hearing. Deliberations. Who would like to begin?
Already did. They got their rebuttal. Chair, I'll
With
go.
that, I'll go with Lewis. I was going to go with you, Jess, but it went off again.
Okay,
Joe.
this is a good clean remodel to the existing home. It's going to freshen it up. I don't have much more to add. It's neighborhood compatible. It's at the end of the street, which is Dunning's cool, not as cool as Pearl Street, but it's a beautiful little refresh, and I can get behind this.
Emir.
I agree with Lewis. I was privileged to go inside and I saw the bookcases that they have in there are absolutely beautiful. They preserve them, and we need more projects like this that take the character of Laguna, preserve it, expand upon it, but keep it classy. We like that.
MJ?
Yeah, I concur with my colleagues. It's a very unique house. It's fun that Laguna has these kind of mixed bag of houses, and especially now that we're rolling into all these contemporary things, it's nice to have these little respites, and you made it seamless, and no, it reaches all our design review criteria, so I can support it.
God, now I feel like I missed an opportunity. Yeah, I concur with what my board members have said. I can approve this project tonight.
I concur with my colleagues. Modest. It is obviously meets neighborhood compatibility. It's an incredibly cool house with an incredibly cool lot. And I think it is as good as Pearl Street, contrary to Mr. Lewis. With respect to the coastal development finding for the ADU, it's below the house, which makes it perfectly. It makes all the criteria easy to find in this case. Similarly, no impact on the water course with it being 165 feet away. I note the storm drain conditions, so you're going to be, the project's going to be conditioned on getting a vacation of the storm drain, which, while I don't have a say with that, I would heartily support. With that said, do we have a motion?
Chair, I make a motion to approve 5.6 located at 1377 Dunning Drive as recommended approval by the resolution in the staff report.
I second.
Roll call, please.
Board Member Bauta,
Yes.
Board Member Coveney,
Yes.
Board Member Weil,
Yes.
Chair Pro Tem Gannon,
Yes.
Chair Gibbs.
Yes. Thank you very much. Okay,
Thank you, Joe.
we're back on. You want what?
Monitor's back on.
I don't. Okay, we're just zipping right through. We may break our record tonight. Oh, no, maybe not with this one. 5.7, which is 607 Short Street Design Review 24.
We need a minute for the planner to arrive.
Well, let me get this on the record and then we'll wait for the staff report. Okay, I'm just calling the item. 607 Short Street Design Review 24-1572 and Coastal Development Permit 24-1688. Ex parte, please.
I met with the applicant team and the neighbors next door as well, and I visited the sites, both sites.
I met with the applicant team and the Mahonies, and I think that's it.
With the applicant team and the Mahonies next door as well.
Same. And Steve Cortani, he was part of that.
Right, and I spoke with Steve Cortani.
Likewise, forget about Steve.
I met with Steve McIntosh, who's the owner at the site, and I also met with Allison Mahoney. So we're waiting for the planner. So with that, everyone sit tight. Why don't we take a 5-minute break? We've done all the introductions while we find the staff. applicant take the seat. And Shavita, could you give the staff report?
Yes, good evening, Chair and members of the board. Can I share my screen? Okay. Good evening, Chair and members of the board. Item 5.7 is a request for design review and coastal development permit for 607 Short Street. The project is located on the western side of Short Street across from Laguna Beach High School and is in the R1 zone. The existing neighborhood consists of 1- and 2-story homes, with the adjacent residences being 2 stories. The project is a major remodel of the residence, and the scope proposes a 2-story addition, a 52 square foot addition to the existing garage, 325 square foot addition to the elevated deck, and a second elevated deck at the second floor, landscaping and lighting improvements. The proposed upstairs addition is 760 square feet. The lower level addition is 226 square feet, and the lower level deck is 325 square feet. There is a detached ADU in the rear that is not subject to design review, but does have a coastal development permit associated with it. The project has been revised based on neighbor and board member comments at the original hearing on February 27, 2025, and includes a reduction of the upper level addition from 807 square feet to 760 square feet. There's been a reduction of 169 square feet of the lower level and a reduction of 260 square feet of living area. The upper level addition has been pulled back an additional 5 feet from the rear property line, and a large tree has been removed from the front yard. There's also been the removal of the stairwell window to increase privacy for adjoining residences. The proposed improvements are not located in an environmentally sensitive area, and the project is in compliance with both design review guidelines and all developmental standards. The project does not substantially impair views and privacy and will be compatible with the scale of development present in the neighborhood. Staff has analyzed this request and finds that the project is in conformance and believes that the CDP findings for the project can be made. Staff's recommendation is that the board adopt Resolution 24-1572 approving design review 24-0772 and coastal development permit 24-0773 and finding said action exempt from CEQA. Staff has received correspondence since the publication of the agenda with neighbors having concerns regarding the mass and scale of the project and privacy and view impacts. The board should consider whether these impacts affect the project's ability to meet the design review criteria. That concludes my presentation, and I'm available for any questions, as is the applicant.
Thank you. Excellent presentation. Any questions? All right, I open the public hearing. Applicant has 5 minutes.
Okay, thank you. My name is Drew Blake, and I'm the designer for the modest remodel on Short Street. Thank you all for coming out. I appreciate meeting you guys and out there and answering your questions. To save time, I'm just going to move quickly through the sort of bullet points that have been highlighted for the changes that we made, and then I'll leave a little more time for Steve. We pulled back the rear wall, which is really just the main problem with the project in terms of view equity, I guess, for the neighbors. So we moved that rear wall back 5 feet at this point, reduced the upper level living space from 807 to 760, so a little 47 square foot reduction. Removed the front large tree, which allowed a little more increased light and openness for the upper bedroom, look up towards the hillside. We changed out the south-facing bedroom, bathroom, and stairwell window to be opaque for better privacy for them. And we also reduced the closet size to a little bit smaller. That was from Christine from last time. So we tried to take the points that you all gave us and massage things around a little bit and see if we can work out something positive tonight. So I'll turn the time over to Steve.
Good evening, everyone. So I want to do a quick recap of board comments from our February 27th DRB meeting. Board Member Gibbs objectively went through each design review criteria and was ready to approve the project that evening. Gibbs stated view equity was achieved in primary views of 615 short or in the back towards the ocean. Member Coveney stated our upper bedroom needed to be retreated and the deck should remain obscured. We did both of those. Member Thalman said design looked to be in line with the DR guidelines, like the idea of tweaking the design and pushing the master bedroom back to reduce the front closet size. We did that as well. Slide, please. Member Weil commented that the design could work, but the extension on just one side may have unintended issues, and compared to two lots basically drawn on a string line. And then I redid the string line here a little straighter, and what we heard you say is that pull it back. It means you don't have to get to that exact line, but our 5 foot got us real close. Slide, please. And Member Gannon had a red line and wanted us to move back behind that, so it created a lot of privacy issues, and then we'd have to a narrow spot to construct, and we'd have a lot of demo. Slide, please. That's the same thing you just looked at. Slide, please. Next slide. No, not going. Oh, can I get some time back? Yeah. There it is. So we took a large twisted juniper in the front yard out, as you can see on the left, and then really open it up on the right. Slide, please. And here's from the back side. One back, please. From the back, it had big views that it opened up. So you can stay there. Yeah, see on the right, it really opened that up. Okay, next slide, please. So the primary views are out at 615 are out the back towards the ocean and the coastline. Rooms with the primary views are master bathroom, master bedroom, large deck, spare bedroom, all out of the back of the house, as you can see. Slide, please. This is the previous use of the back corner guest room at 615 short. Note the window sizes are massive on the left, 12 by 4, 48 square feet, while the secondary side windows total only 21 feet. Note the hedge growing up in front of the window. Slide, please. At a recent DRB hearing for a project, it was stated by a board member that the window on the left is a primary view towards Main Beach and the window on the right is a secondary view. Both windows here are the same dimension. Slide, please. There's a comparison here. There's a lot of similarities in this. Similar circumstances, so we like the same precedent should be followed, we feel. Slide, please. What you have here is the front, same bedroom looking out. That's a 5 foot pullback, that red line, and a lot of ocean view to the left. Slide, please. And a 5 foot pullback from the center bedroom, as you can see, is quite a view. Slide, please. And here's the scope of the views from 615 short. The range of the views from 615 short after the tree removal, including our addition, the Mahonies would still have 100% of their primary ocean views in the back and some ocean views of the coastline views from secondary windows, plus a major gain of never before views out the side. View equity. A property may enjoy specific views today, and that experience may change as surrounding properties are developed. The Mahonies have enjoyed a well over 100 degrees of view in their second floor for 6 years. With the giant tree removed, it's now 160 degrees.
Mr. McIntosh?
Yes.
Your time's up. You'll have 3 more minutes at the end if you want to resume. I'm going to open it up to the public. It's time to speak. Members of the public, come up to the podium. You have 3 minutes.
Okay.
Each.
Thank you again, and thanks, board, for hearing our position for a second time. You know, what can I say that really hasn't been said or asked by all of you from us so far? This is our second go round, and you know, we met with the McIntoshes 3 times before the first meeting with all of you. And I think from a neighborhood compatibility standpoint, the idea was, could we provide input and would they consider that input? None of which was considered. No other options, no other alternatives. We then met with all of you about 2 months ago and have since met with them 2 times, provided our input. There's multiple options here that have not been considered. They didn't take any of our input or considerations at all. In fact, I think I sent all of you some of the correspondence and feedback from the last board meeting. And again, it feels like we're kicking the can down the road for a second time. the entire mass was moved 5 feet forward. So the massing, the view equity, the air and light, none of that has changed. None of it has changed. It's the same story, just 5 feet moved towards the street and a tree that's been removed, which was part of the overall plan to begin with. So as I stand up here and think to myself, you know, we're moving, we're back for a second time for 5 feet of movement. I just don't understand how this gets to a reasonable conclusion. So I'd appreciate the consideration of reworking this in a way that considers options of moving it to the other side of the property, moving it to the front of the property. I think Jessica, you or CJ had made the recommendation in the last board meeting to make that a consideration, none of which has been even presented. So I'm disappointed by the fact that we're back here again with you talking about changes that have been made, and the net result is 5 feet of movement. Thank you.
Next speaker.
All right, I'm going to read because this is just hard. Thank you, board members, for visiting our property this week and for the thoughtfulness that each of you brought to the discussions. I think it's been a progressive discussion in terms of where to focus. And in the last couple of weeks, I also met again with Vicki following the recent restaking so that we could try to continue a direct and constructive dialogue to convey our concerns. Our most impactful concern is the massing and one single flat plane of wall across the entire depth of our house. To restate, Miles and I fully support our neighbors' right to improve their homes. We want to be clear, we're not opposed to the McIntosh's rebuild. However, based on the updated design, we remain deeply concerned by the significant impacts to our privacy, light, and views, given the unchanged 40-foot plus flat wall massing, which will block our house in on 2 sides of our property. Our homes sit at the same elevation. The proposed second level would affect all 3 of our upstairs room spaces that are actively used by our family throughout the day for work, school, and personal time. The design compromises not only our enjoyment, but its privacy, functionality, and financial value. Even from private areas of our home, such as our master bathroom, the visibility into the proposed structure presents an uncomfortable intrusion. Our historic home, built in 1937, was carefully designed to maximize the light and privacy. We have maximized our landscaping for screening, but landscaping cannot mitigate the design's impact. As a family of 5, we rely on each room's functionality, especially upstairs, which is used for work like I've described, study, family business, and we use all these rooms during daytime hours. It's clear to us, based on what we've learned through this lengthy process starting last year in September, that there are feasible, less impactful design alternatives, but unfortunately, none appear to be under consideration. The McIntoshes indicated they expected feedback to push their design back, but intentionally waited for the board meeting rather than initiating a dialogue or revising their plans in advance of this review. So just to conclude, we're simply asking for a balanced approach here, one that respects our family's right to privacy, use, and value of our home, as well as the McIntoshes' desire to build. And there are design constraints about flat wall massing and articulation that we assert should be considered. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next speaker.
Sweta, can you cue me up? Thank you. Good evening, Chair Gibbs, board members, and staff. My name is Steve Kawaratani, and I represent the Mahoneys. It's disappointing that we have to return here again from February to see basically lipstick. Well, I won't finish that thought, but But basically, we still have concerns with design articulation, view equity, and neighborhood compatibility. If you look at the lower image, we're not objecting to a second-story program. What we are objecting to is having the entire upper floor program moved up next to the neighbors. Next slide. So I have a bit more of a comprehensive board comment for your review. Basically, Chair Gannon said that there's a gorgeous view that would be completely blocked. She also recommended a more traditional style house with the second story going across the entire width of the roof. And she doesn't support a program that is entirely on the left-hand side of the property. Board Member Gibbs was a bit of an outlier from his 4 colleagues. He was ready to support the project. Board Member Weil basically expressed concern about the impact of the proposed extension. He reinforced that cost is not part of the design review process. He recommended pulling the extension back and suggested a reasonable string line for development to avoid an extensive extension. Board Member Coveney said the location choice might be better on the opposite side. She also had concern about the upper structure blocking the Mahoney's back bedroom views. And finally, she said, she stated the importance of preserving the view of the hillsides for the Mahoney's. And I'll skip over Chris's. Next slide. So we're disappointed. If you look at the top image, that is what was presented. And as Miles said, it was pulled back 5 feet. Next slide, please. That is what will happen at the back bedroom if the project is built as designed. And final slide, please. Basically, the municipal code allows a third hearing if the board can make the finding that the applicant followed the authority's direction from the initial hearing in good faith. I don't believe that has occurred. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Karakami. Any other speakers? Please, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, board. My name is Vicki McIntosh. We all met. I'd like to thank you for your time. Thank you for coming to our home, seeing our project, and listening to our thoughts and concerns. As a CPA, I'm not a creative person, but instead I'm a data-driven person. I operate with integrity using the facts that are available. Steve mentioned the last board hearing several times. I see our neighbors have mentioned that. But what I'd like to do is, when it comes down to me, we've looked through those comments, looked at the hearing, we've reviewed them, re-reviewed them. The neighbors collectively were concerned with privacy, air, light, and views. I'm a bottom line kind of person, and I really think it comes down to view equity. We can talk about privacy, air, and light, but I feel all those things have been taken care of. Equity is synonymous, with fairness, impartiality, honest, integrity, balance, and that's why we're here taking your time. It's not about deceitfulness, lies, favoritism, or subjectivity. We pulled 5 feet back from the back to widen the view from Mrs. Mahoney's home office window. This is in addition to her existing beautiful primary ocean view shared in that same room, which is much greater than the side view. They purchased their home next to the only undeveloped one-story home in the area. Steve mentioned earlier about a property may enjoy a specific view today, but that experience may change as surrounding properties are developed. That's under Chapter 16 of the Design Review Guidelines. A balance of interest should be achieved in which all those who enjoy the view, new or existing, retain some access to it. And I find that that's in the same situation we're in today. They bought the home next to the only one story in the neighborhood. We're not taking away their ocean view, but instead a small portion of their hillside view. It also says in the design review code, avoid blocking neighbors' primary views. Our proposed design doesn't block the primary view. We're only asking for equity. And when I say equity, we're asking for way less than 50% of their existing views. I'd just like to say thank you again for taking the time to listen to us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other members of the public?
Hi, just wanted to add something brief. I know these projects are a lot to think about and a lot of different angles on them. Just as a resident of Laguna Beach, I observed on the online and also last time, both the first time and this second time through, the staff said it supports this project. I think that's highly worthy of consideration. I sit in a lot of the city council meetings, and that's important. The second thing is to paraphrase, what got me to come down here is to paraphrase what you guys said earlier tonight. Somebody said on another project that something to the effect of, to deny this is to deny what everyone else has. This is a one-story house that's surrounded by two-story homes, and this is Laguna Beach. And it's not blocking the beach. It's not blocking the beach view. I just find that a bit troubling, that it's stuck, in this process a little bit. The proposed home, I would say, is neighborhood compatible. It's been staked multiple times. I've seen the stakes move multiple times. Extensive accommodations have already been made, include cutting down a massive tree that was in the front, reducing the square footage and other things that were mentioned. So anyway, I just wanted to come down and say that. And I think the work the staff has done is really strong on this. And so I think it's important.
Thank you very much. Any other speakers? Seeing none, applicant has 3-minute rebuttal.
To continue on, the Mahoney's have enjoyed a well over 100 degrees of view from their second floor for 6 years. With the giant tree removed, it's now approximately 160 degrees. We have absolutely 0 degrees of view. In the spirit of view equity, our gain of primary ocean view only blocks roughly 25 degrees of their secondary hill views. However, the tree removal, they've gained another 25 degrees back towards the front. View equity means achievement of a fair, reasonable, balanced accommodation of view. We think we've achieved exactly that and urge you to approve our project tonight. And in response to Mr. Mahoney, we have spent countless hours studying all their ideas they passed. We've talked to them about it, why they're not feasible, how they have privacy issues, and they're not hearing what they want to hear, so they just ignored it. So over the past 20 years, we've designed, redesigned, massaged, and planned our dream home. We sought input for several architects, the city, neighbors, and former DRB members. Resounding, the feedback we received was that we will have no problem with this design. There's no one for you to block. We have been told dozens of times over the years that our plans do not affect primary ocean views of 615. In fact, DRB member Steve Quaratani, who came to our house to look at our landscape in 2004, said about this exact addition to our home that this design would not be a problem because there's no blocking of primary views. I guess he just forgot that too. In fact, when he and I spoke this past December, when he called to say he was hired by the Mahoney's, he stated, "You're in control here, Steve." He said, I'd like to see you pull it back a few feet. I guess he forgot that too. So we've done just that. So in my 10+ discussions with Miles Mahoney in 5.5 years, he always said, I can never understand how anyone can tell someone they can or cannot build on their property. I guess he forgot that as well. So there's a lot of amnesia going on here, including last September when I showed him the plans. He also said his wife would not like it, but she'd get over it. Yet here we are. At the last DRB meeting, Miles said, when he asked me what I'd feel if I were in their shoes, was not exactly how it went.
I'm going to break in, Mr. McIntosh. I want to hear about your project. I don't want to hear statements about what people said in the past. It doesn't make any difference to us. We can't verify it. So focus on your project, please. And I'll restore my comments. I'll restore 30 seconds to this time. But I'm not going to listen to what he said, she said.
Okay, that's what we're rebuttal. Anyway, so basically we got to the point where our neighbors, okay, we're not even going to talk about that. So I'm going to address something about the mass and scale. One of the neighbors had said that his upstairs is 36% of his, and that ours is massive. Did the math, ours is 31%. So we're well beneath everybody, including the Mahoney's, including the people behind us, including all the places behind us. So that's it. Thank you.
Okay. First of all, I know this is emotional. It's understandable. We're here objectively to hear the evidence and make deliberations. So let's do it. Everybody understand that. Okay, questions of the applicant or the public?
Yeah, I've got a question. I think that the elephant in the room is pertaining to that view. Are you prepared with anything to modify the the leading edge? I think pulling it back was a creative solution, but it seems like there's still some conflict on that leading edge. Are you ready to present something that's, maybe pulls back that leading edge a bit?
Yeah, I think, we're willing to do a little bit of something here, but we kind of need some guidance on, what we're talking about. I mean, that's what one person says one thing and one person's 5 feet is another person's 20 feet. So we're just trying to get an idea what that means in your case.
Thank you.
So, yeah, we're open to do some.
Okay, any other questions? All right, I close the public hearing. Who would like to begin?
I can probably kick off on this one. I'll be brave. I guess I'll start with the red line that you presented tonight. I stand by that red line. It would still not preserve that mountain view. It would be a taking, but at least it would be a compromise. In my viewpoint, my professionalism, the way that I view property and evaluate property, if it devalues somebody else's property, then something needs to change. And I think that where that red line is, I'm going to stand strong on that red line because it won't preserve all of that mountain view, but it'll protect the majority of it. It'll also help with light and air. The other issue I have is the articulation on that side. You have a 2-story straight up and down wall. There's no articulation facing the house, the neighbor's house. So view equity hasn't been achieved. The articulation hasn't been achieved. I don't find it neighborhood compatible because of the articulation. That house, you're in the village, so I think a different design. Also, you presented a design of another house that stretched across, as I recommended in the first meeting. That's something that would be neighborhood compatible. You definitely have the right as a homeowner to have a second story. I'm not saying that. It's just this isn't it. I can't approve this project tonight. It doesn't meet neighborhood compatibility, view equity, or articulation.
All right, who would like to go next?
Jeremy, yes. No, I appreciate, there's a lot of positives with your project in general, but I think to Jessica's point, the view equity is really the bigger concern. And I think we talked about it a lot at the first hearing was there's a lot of availability on your second level that we're like the board's unanimously discussed that there's availability for square footage up there. And it's definitely the right to your property and the right enjoyment for you to have a second story on this project, to have a balcony that looks at the ocean. Those are all factors in the design review criteria that you read. You have the ability to achieve a view as well as, balance the rights of preserving views of others. The pop-up direction that you're going is absolutely the right way to go. I just think there's some massaging or some characteristics that we were looking for from the first direction. And in first hearings, I typically try to give it a little bit more broad, a little bit more leeway for the architect to really do his magic. I think, I was having a discussion with Drew that just kind of top line. Shavita, can you pull up the image for me? And I just kind of want to give you some more specifics. Like the 5-foot reduction wasn't enough. I think, and these are just rough sketches just to kind of help articulate the discussion points. The view equity, we all know, is that corner that the rear kind of bathroom sitting area are all in. Now, the areas in red, could be areas of reduction to get that back into a light. It's not to scale or anything. But I think you could have that element where you have kind of a little bit more of an enclosed deck, just very similar to the neighbors. But areas in yellow and even other areas on the other side could be expanded to you. But if the closet were to be moved to the other side, I mean, you're ripping down that level, the roof and all those components. Otherwise, I'd just be encouraged to see that like maybe the sitting area maintains, but the bathroom and the closet get moved maybe to the other side. giving maybe some more space across the middle part of that H, that you could have a little bit better bedroom and components with this. I don't see where that would wreck your project. And I think if we can find this kind of balance, if there's willingness on the parties to kind of come together, I think we have a good project that both parties kind of mutually leave with some uncomfortableness. But like, I know this is your dream to improve your property, and I'm not wanting to stand in the way, but I think there's more balanced ways we could achieve that. And I'm just putting up this as an idea of how I kind of was wrapping around where the issues were and where I thought availability was. But I'm totally open to kind of Drew's expertise in characteristics. The issues of the long, expansive wall still kind of exist with the 5-foot reduction. There could be some articulation on that side, but addressing a couple of these things may make it a much better home and a much better usable spot. And for me, I'd need to take a look at it again. If there's some better discussion and dialogue, I could support a third hearing, but this is kind of where I'm at. I'm not supportive of it tonight, but I want it. There is a good project in this house.
All right.
Okay.
MJ.
So yeah, this is always difficult. And I know it's been hard for both of you guys. I actually took a stab. I sent it to Drew as well because I felt that there had to be a solution here. And I usually don't do like the cocktail drawing, but I think mine was a little better than yours, Lewis. I'm just saying. It was very similar in nature though. So every lot's different, every angle's different, every view's different. So that's how we look at it. That's why everything has to be looked at as we do, very uniquely from our points of view. We do have our criteria that we follow. There's nuances, rarely, but normally it's very clear, but there's always different points of view. In this case, I think it's very clear that this is a split view out this back area. You actually took the picture from the corner, which kind of shows this is our view. It's hillside and it's ocean. The view of the ocean is further away. I know you zoomed in on some to give it the impression it was closer, but it's actually further away. So, when we have all this, we have to look with our own eyes, and we did. And I saw that there is a view equity issue, which is definite. I also agree with the mass and scale articulation. I don't think the size is a problem necessarily. And I didn't drill down on this, I think, in the last meeting because I was really focused on view equity. That's the moneymaker here in Laguna. Everybody wants to hold on to their views. We can work around articulation, mass, and scale. Those are usually easy. Privacy, you pull a shade. Those kind of things can be handled really easily. View equity is the big one. So I feel like I don't feel like, and it might just be I might not be accurate, but I don't feel like we really looked at options with the other side. Also, your back setback, you have so much space below back there to extend for if you need square footage, and then you can build on the other side towards the front and a little bit, I think I had it in line almost with the chimney of the Mahoney's house so that you didn't encroach into that view on the hillside. So I feel like if I didn't feel like there were options, I'd be all up and kind of, we're really stuck. We'd be really in a tough place. But I feel like there's options here to come up with a design that can support your desire to have a lovely master suite, sitting, dressing area, access from that section of the house, which I still think you can access possibly from the other side and build your suite over there. And it would be great you're going out the back end off the dining room and using that as your kind of lift up. But again, I'm not an architect, but I do know that there's ways, having built my own house. So, view equity, mass and articulation. Also, when it comes to some other concepts, your tree is great, but that was a concession that benefited you as well. And it's a great thing. It's going to help their view from the front to Laguna High School, but it never really blocked, from what I could see, the canyon view that substantially. But it's great if you guys can work together with things like that, because it's every little bit helps, and you give a little, they give a little, and that's the great way to find those compromises. So I think there's something here to Lewis's point. It's a property that you have a lot of space going far and back. I think you've got setback opportunities there. View equity is what you really need to put your energy into. I also think sort of the house kind of stopping halfway at the top, there's a little funky. The beautiful illustration you had of the double dormer and then the center meeting was so it's beautiful, especially if it came back to like in line with, maybe not the Jessica line, but the chimney line, would be just lovely. But, that's out of my purview. But anyway, I digress. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, MJ. Emir?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Chair. I had a chance to watch the previous meeting and go into depth on some of the comments. And I think what I'm hearing from some of my fellow board members is that they left it up to the team to sort of come up with another solution. I had a chance to review the drawings, and I think that there is something here. There's definitely a project here. I think we should definitely give them a third hearing. I think that's a fair shake here. I'd like to see that wall pulled back. What that looks like. I think the design team has substantial input between Lewis and MJ and Jessica, going through and just giving you the kind of clean slate to come up with something that's going to work. From my personal view, I think that can come back. I think that view equity was preserved, in two circumstances, obviously the ocean line and then also the coastline. There's a piece that you could see in this, but the third piece is the hillside. And I understand the tree removal was added and, into the radius of viewport, and we can appreciate that. But for this particular case, it sounds like there's going to be there's the need for the third. I think there was a good attempt, but I think that we got to get something that's going to work for this design team.
Thank you, Emir. I expressed my views last time and reductions were made, so my views haven't changed. I kind of the bottom line, my view is that the issue is really view equity because privacy can be dealt with. And we're talking view equity from secondary bedrooms. And the most important, the kind of their prize bedroom, the Mahoney's is the corner room, which is the study. Secondary bedrooms, we rarely give any view equity considerations, particularly where the house has other, great views, which the house does from the master and the deck upstairs. The study has a much bigger picture window facing toward the ocean. And on the side window, the building was put back 5 feet. So I feel for the applicants here, but I totally respect the different views of my colleagues. You heard what they have to say. Basically, they're asking you to redesign to protect views from 2 subsidiary bedrooms and a study that has a really terrific view that's not being impinged. With all of that said, I would support a third hearing. The other comment I would have about that is, the board members are asking the parties to work together to come up with a better, they've offered their own designs, so if they were doing their designs, that's what they would do. But they're asking the parties to get together and try to redesign the McIntosh's house. I see that's going to be a real problem here. And, there's so much emotion. And it's legitimate emotion. I'm talking both with the McIntoshes and the Mahoney's. And it's tough to get around that. I was a judicial mediator for many years. And one of the reasons you have mediation is because the parties can't talk to one another. I don't know if you can do that directly or do that through an intermediary. Because you're entitled to have a house, you're entitled to have a second story. The one thing I do agree with my colleagues is there is a house here to be designed that could meet the approval of this board. And I would love to see, I think our job here is to approve projects that meet the guidelines. I would love to see here a solution. And since this project's not going to be approved, I would hope this board continues it to a third hearing. I would hope you guys can put aside the emotions. You guys were once friends. Go back to being friends. Sit down with Drew, you're a good architect. Sit down, pencil it out, and do some give and take. Realize that you've enjoyed a single-story house next to you, which is unique in that neighborhood for a long time, and it's not meant to stay forever. Understand the concerns that the McIntoshes have about the location of the second story. By the same token, you've heard the board. You're going to need to protect their canyon and, their side views. There is a solution here. So with that said,
Chair, may I have one comment
Go
before
ahead.
you close? I just want to make a clarification, just so, because I know they want direction. I want to make sure that we were all clear enough. So one thing you said, it's my concern wasn't with the middle bedroom. It was only with the study den office as far as view equity. Center bedroom is not important or not to me viable in this particular, in our parameters. Yeah, so I just want to be clear about that.
Yeah, I wanted to echo that too. I think it's just that front bedroom, and I think it's not the entirety of the view. I think it's at least a partial view of the hill.
how much would you, because listen, I can do whatever. I'm the chair.
I
I have
recommend
the
not
floor.
putting a
No,
number on it. It
I-
needs to be restaked.
I have
Okay,
the
well-
floor. Then you can comment. Jess, let me have the floor, then I'll give it to you. Both of you indicated that your concern is the side window in the study. It was pulled back 5 feet, which increased that view. How much further back would you want it to be able to approve this project?
The red line, as I suggested. So whatever,
And I also sent a drawing to Drew saying this is where I think we could be, somewhere in here. So I'm not going to give this number.
Can we see that drawing by any chance?
Yeah, can I, that's my next question. Can I see the drawing so I want to see if we can at least kind of narrow the issues for the third hearing? Because what I was hearing from both, and maybe I misunderstood, this is called deliberations. This is good. What I was hearing from Lewis and from Jess was basically a redesign. And Jess, I saw your redesign, I think in photos that were shown to me that you had given to the applicant. And I saw your redesign on the screen, Lewis, which was much more than just dealing with that study, that corner, study. If MJ and Emir can improve the project by pulling back that house to give a little bit more view from that side window, I think we need to look at that. So with that said, can you pull up your?
It's on my,
Chair, while we do that, I articulated in the drawing, it's probably like 8 more feet to get back there. But my question was going to be to the applicant if they have kind of a few specific questions for where we're at.
Well, I want to explore this before we open it to the applicant. I mean, looking at it, you just want it so you can't see the second story at all from that side window. Is that your view, Lewis?
I think it just needs to be tucked back. I think there's 2 things into the equation. One is the availability of space that are less impactful that could be utilized while still achieving their results. And even though I suggested closets moving, that kind of stuff, what they do in the inside of the space, that's completely up to them. But it was just kind of, that's where the drawings were now. And those kind of swaps could make sense, but it's up to them.
My view is it's just not fair to say that whole side window has to have an unobstructed view. That is such an impingement on the right of the applicant to build. That's my personal view.
Yeah, I agree with you, Chair
Okay,
Gibbs.
can I see that chart and then we can talk about this?
Chair, I still think we're working on the tech side to get it to.
and Chair, while we're waiting, can you make the findings? Because I can't make the findings for a third hearing. Can you provide the findings?
We're not there yet. Want to see what the issues are.
Yeah, Chair, just kind of guidance. I think, from what I could tell, 5 to 6 feet, somewhere in that range, pulling that wall back would go a long way. I think it would open up the corridor. I also think it would give a, nice view of that coastline and partial hillside from what I could tell from.
So I'm sorry, I don't want to miss 5 to 6 feet, did you say?
Yeah, I think 5 to 6 feet would help a ton.
Pulling back the building, so for the benefit of the side window in that study.
That's right.
Okay, MJ, is that something you could support as well? Okay, we need to, Emir said, I don't want to use words, he said that he, I'm sorry? You need
I could not put a actual number on it. I'd have to look at my plan and what I sent and then do the calculation. But my plan is very close. Might be a little further than it has.
We would need to look at your chart. On your chart, does it indicate how many feet back it would go?
It just, if you want to put the floor plan up, I can show you where I colored it in.
It's
Well-
directional at best, and I just want to make sure that, like, even though I drew something on this thing, that's just kind of directional guidance. I still reserve the right to review the project if we hear this again and have a full different opinion. I mean, putting specific markings on what I'm going to accept or not.
Right,
I'm not
right.
accepting of the project
Yeah.
in its current form.
I think let me cut to the chase here, because I agree with what Louis said. We're not bound to anything that we indicate tonight, although I think we should try to, be clear. They pulled back that 5 feet. I think that shows good faith toward reaching a resolution. I know, so I support a third hearing on that basis, particularly given, I think, at least 3 board members would support the project if the second story is pulled further back to enhance the view of the side window in the study, upstairs study. Because of that, because they made the move to do 5 feet, I think good faith exists to address the issue that is troubling at least 3 members of the board, well, 2 members of the board, it's not troubling me. And that therefore there's good cause to put this over to a third hearing if the applicant desires a third hearing, is willing to follow that direction. Jess, you have the floor.
Oh, I have no further comments.
All right.
I'd just strike the 5-foot comment because it could just be, it's still directional. I mean, changes need to occur and other impacts could be created, different privacy concerns if the decking becomes, different. But I think there's a lot of balance and stuff and availability that they can work on the right solution. But I'm not going to be held to 5 feet.
Okay, before I ask the applicant if he's interested in a third hearing, can I get just a straw vote on who's willing to support a third hearing? Emir, what's your feeling?
Yeah, absolutely.
Louis?
Yeah, I just want to get the willingness from the applicant.
Yeah, I'll get to that. So I think we have at least a majority to do that. So the question to you, Mr. McIntosh, is whether you're willing to go back to you've heard 3 board members who talk about the issue being the view from the side Mahoney's side window in the study. I'm sure there's 2 others that want probably more. So do you want us to vote a yay or nay tonight, or do you want to go over to a third hearing and try to get this thing through on the third hearing?
This is Drew, just for the record. We did do some studies, and I do have a plan here on the floor plan that pulls back additional 3 feet, so it'd be a total of 8. So I'm not sure if that moves the marker at all.
Yeah, I'm not hearing it. I think, Louis's point is he needs to see it. I'd like to get at least a 4 vote, hopefully a 5 vote the next time. You heard Emir say that maybe 5 to 6 feet. You heard MJ saying she can't commit to it. She needs to see it.
I don't have.
So I don't think that's going to work.
Okay.
I know it's an important decision, and I don't mean to rush you, but what?
That's that's MJ scribble just for the record, or notes.
Where now you walk into the mirror. I actually laid it out nicer.
Yeah, but again, just beyond.
Yeah, we're
the
beyond
in-
that.
The interior is not within. The
I know,
design.
I'm just saying, I want
Very
to
nice
show-
drawing.
I want them to show them that they could get everything they wanted.
We're not.
It was still,
I know, we're beyond that. I don't want to be talking about interior. We're not going to.
you asked to see my drawing, it's there. Thank you, whoever put it up.
Chair, I think it's worth.
Yeah, MJ, I apologize. I asked for it, but we're,
Chair,
I know, I love it.
I think it's worth noting to the applicant team that MJ's sketch was probably substantially more than the 5 or 6, just for, kind of guidance.
Does the applicant have it? Okay, good. So that'll go into their decision.
Chair, I move to continue.
No,
You guys want to have a vote or
No,
continuance?
I want to hear back from them. They have to
Okay.
decide if they want to continue it.
A voter continue it. And how soon could we get them back if we were to expedite getting them back? Sorry.
Hold on a second.
Debate oh, sorry. A question of how long until we could come back?
That's what I just asked.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
Yeah.
usually the first question.
yeah, go ahead, Bill.
But if we could try to get this back.
Yeah, so Chair, in part, it depends on how much time you think you'll need to incorporate the revisions. But at this point, if we're trying to expedite return, I would suggest maybe August 14th, which would be highly expedited, or perhaps September 11th.
There's only one meeting in August. So
Yeah, my suggestion is you've come a long road on this. Do the September 11. I'll give you a little bit more time. And again, I encourage, but you guys got to be neighbors. I encourage you guys, sit down, put the emotions aside, get somebody in there that you both feel comfortable with to help get this project through. Oh, 9/11.
Okay, we'd like to have a vote for the continuance, please.
Okay, I
September
move,
11th.
yeah, I move that item 5.7 for, don't have my glasses, 607 Short Street be continued to September 11, 2025 with the finding that the prior changes in the plans for the second hearing showed good faith and that there is adequate cause to proceed to a third hearing to resolve the issues as described by the board.
I second that.
Roll call, please.
Board Member Bauta?
Yes.
Board Member Coveney?
Yes.
Board Member Weil?
Yes.
Chair Pro Tem Gannon?
Yes.
Chair Gibbs?
Yes. Good luck to you.
Thank you, guys. Really appreciate it.
And Drew, you feel like you have enough from us, right?
Yeah.
Good, because I don't want to be accused of not giving you clear direction. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. Next item, please. The next item is item 5.8 at 31112 Holly Drive. Can the applicant team come up? Ex parte, please.
Chair, I did a site visit with Board Member Weil, Steve Coratani, and the neighbor Sita, S-I-T-A, across the street.
Same, and I'll just go on the record. I did drive Mr. Cortani because we had a couple appointments back to back, and he was with me for the ease of convenience for getting through town in summer and the narrow streets and the parking situation. So we were just trying to be convenient. No favoritism was added to the project or conversations of the project during the car ride. It was just purely out of convenience and yeah.
Didn't have money for gas.
All right. Let's go to the.
I spoke with Steve and went by the site.
I met with the project architect and Steve Karatani on site.
And I met with the architect at the site. All right. Nancy,
Yes,
please give the presentation.
sure. Good evening. This project is 31112 Holly Drive, and it requires both a design review and a variance. Next slide, please. As you can see, these are diagrams that were in the staff report that show the location of the site, the first picture outlined in yellow. And then the site photos, I thought it was best to show the aerials because you can't really see it from the street. There's a very steep driveway, but you can see how it's oriented. There's a big drop off in the back, and there's essentially two neighbors. The orange roof is downhill neighbor, and then the other roof that you see in the middle picture, I would say is the uphill neighbor. Next slide, please. This is the proposed site plan. It's actually the grading plan. I thought it showed best. The addition in the front is in orange, and the spa area in the back, that's the only thing that's happening to the land. And design review is required for modifications to a prior design review, an exterior remodel, upper level addition, elevated decks, pool, spa, landscaping, and construction in an environmentally sensitive area. There is a variance to exceed the maximum 15-foot building height measured above the rear lot line. Additionally, well, let's go on to the next slide, please. The renderings, there's 4 renderings. They are in the plan set attached to this staff report. The applicant has a robust presentation, so I'll just go through the renderings. These are 2 of the renderings. The next slide shows 2 other renderings. And then the next slide is, if you could go to the next slide. The main problem with the site is a variance. And because the site has kind of a hump from the rear to the front, the site slope, I tried to describe in the staff report how the city describes and comes up with the site slope. And there's typically 2 different height measurements. In this case, it's 15 feet above the rear property line. And that red line across the site is the height that's allowed. And that's why there's a variance. There were other variances over time. One time it was called 25 feet above the height. I'm not sure how that went, but my trained eye, I'm pretty sure this is what we do now. And the next slide, please. And just for the recommendation, it's design review and a variance, and staff supports the variance. We have not heard of any concerns from neighbors relating to design review or the variance, and I'm available for comments and questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Excellent report. Any questions of staff? Seeing,
Ask one of the applicant real quick.
I've got to ask the applicant. The applicant hasn't spoken yet.
Okay.
Now, wait a second. Okay, the applicant has 5 minutes.
Okay. Good evening, everyone.
And real quick, I open the public hearing. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
You can start.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Grateful to be here tonight to share this wonderful project with you. The presentation I have has a lot of similar images that Nancy has already shared with you this evening. I wanted to share a similar site plan that's demonstrating the elements that are a part of this project. So first, the addition that you'll see on the western side of the property is intended to be built where there's an existing exterior patio currently. And so the footprint of the home in that area will be maintained. It'll be a 1-story addition at that level in order to extend an upper deck over the top of that. There is also a proposal over the existing garage to build essentially a wading pool, if you will. It'll be about 3.5 feet deep over a sunken elevated deck area. And then on the eastern side of the property is a spa that will be built into the hillside itself. If you go to the next slide. So here you'll see that the majority of the existing landscaping is intended to remain. Currently, we're only proposing landscaping around the spa structure itself. And then if you keep going. So just these renderings help to highlight those elements that we were just talking about. So you can see the glass enclosed pool above the garage. You can see the addition with a small balcony area there on the right side of the image with the deck extended over the top of it. It is important to note that the existing home, the majority of it is maintaining. We are not changing any of the upper roof forms. The overall massing is staying as intended. But you will see, for those that had a chance to visit the property, the exterior of the home has kind of an existing cottage style with shake shingle. And so we're planning on modifying that with a board and bat finish and the exterior stone that you can see. And then if you continue around, these are just, again, are the images that Nancy had shared, but again, just to show you what's intended for that addition on the western side of the property. Again, as you can see, that the intention is for the deck at that existing upper level to extend out just to create a nicer entertaining area to enhance the views that are off to the western side of the property. And then as you continue around, you should be able to see the spa recessed there into the hillside. And then again, as you continue around, there you can see the spa is kind of tucked back in on the hillside there on the left side of the property. And then the remaining images I have just highlight, again, for approval of the variance where that 15-foot line occurs. So Nancy had shown this drawing. All of those upper level areas are the existing structure. So you can show how it currently conforms to the limitations that are there. And then the remaining image shows it cutting through the north-south direction in terms of where that limitation occurs. So happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. I turn it up, open to the public. Any members wishing to speak, come up now. Seeing none, you have 3 more minutes if you want them.
No, I think that's good.
Okay, any questions of applicant?
I had one more thing to add.
Go ahead.
There was a new landscape plan or an updated landscaping plan that came that staff did not run through review. They do have their landscape architect here, and I think it was just clarification, but it's a plan that they wanted to enter into the record. So maybe they can talk more about that.
Is the plan they want attached to, included in the plans attached to?
It is not. It came in late this week.
Do we have it?
Came in an email, yes.
And Nancy, are there any lights proposed with that new landscape plan?
That would be a good question for the.
Oh,
We really can't approve something we haven't.
Do you have the
seen.
sheet? Do you have the sheets available?
It's just clarification on some comments that the plan
Okay,
checker
tell you
had.
what, I asked the applicant, do you have copies of this new landscape plan? Do you
Sorry,
have
this
some
is-
ones that you can give us?
I have a copy I could leave with the board here or.
Well, we can't leave it with the board if you want us to vote.
I think
Okay.
it would be best for him to describe what
Yeah, why
the
don't
plan
you
is
go
about. It may
through-
not be needed.
Okay, go through so it's clear for the record. Yeah, can you pull it up on the screen, Nancy?
and make sure you speak into the mic.
Okay.
Sure.
All right, let me make clear for the record what what we're asking you to do. We have a landscape plan. I'm going to pull it up on your plans. So give me a second and then describe for me all of your changes because we really can't vote for something we haven't seen.
Are we going to pull up the PDF? Is staff going to pull it up or?
Can they?
So the image that was shown in the presentation I had.
Speak into the mic.
Sorry. The image that was on my presentation, it did reflect this current landscape layout. If we want to bring that up.
Was that the full landscape plan?
Yeah, let's pull that up.
Yeah, that was in
There
the,
was a set of landscape plans in the packet, so staff can pull that up. I think what I'm hearing is that
I'm
the
going to
applicant
it.
has some revisions that they want to share with you.
Here, let me get to it. Oh, here we go. Okay, I'm there.
Okay, just to clarify, the only revisions made are the change of 2 species, and it's simply to improve the compatibility of the landscape with the fuel modification guidelines for fire safety. So it's simply a change of one of the grasses that we proposed was a target species, so we switched that to a grass that's compatible. And some of the shrubs that we proposed were going to get to a certain height underneath an existing oak that was going to not comply with the fire ladder guidelines from the fire department. So we simply proposed a lower species. So it's just 2 species changes, and that's really it.
Are either of those above 3 feet?
No,
Okay.
they're all lower.
They're
than
all
that.
ground cover.
Yeah, they're small shrubs and ground cover, correct.
Thank you for
Thank
that
you for that
clarification. Thank you,
clarification, yeah.
Nancy. You were right. That was.
Thank you, Nancy.
Okay, so I'm
I
now,
have a
I'm glad
question.
we got that.
And
Yeah.
can you confirm the lighting is, because I saw lighting, it looked like it's the bare minimum to meet code around this pool and spa. Are there any other lights being proposed?
We're not proposing any additional lights, just one light in the spa.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
That's all I got.
Seeing none, I close the public hearing, deliberations.
Yeah.
Louis.
I'm glad to see Peter's back doing pools in South Laguna again. The project's very neighborhood compatible. The house, obviously the variance is supported by staff. The whole house is a variance, right? It was just part of the old development patterns of South Laguna Beach. I don't see that this creates any further nuisance or problematics for this home or any impacts to neighboring homes. The pool is elevated, and I do caution that as I review things for projects, but I have approved a few. And I think in this circumstance, given the lot, the topography, and kind of just the tucked in nature of the pool and the location of the pool equipment, I can be supportive of that element and feature in this home. The spa's location is fine. It's very tucked away, very private. It doesn't impede with the hillside or the landscape, the surrounding habitat and landscapes around there. So for me, I'm supportive of the project this evening.
Emir?
Yeah, I wanted to start by just thanking staff, not just on this project, but previous projects that were heard today. There was a resounding like, yes, staff is figuring out a way to get it done. And I think that goes above and beyond what they're asked to do, and we appreciate it. So I just want to thank the staff here and the ones that came before. I love this project. Pertaining to this project, I think it meets the criteria for the 16 elements. I think the variance is, well deserved in this project and warranted given the circumstance. I think it's a minimal addition. And I'm excited to see this one be built.
And I can concur what board members previously had to say. I just like to have you guys remind your client that there's no working on the outside on the weekends. I heard that he's unaware of that rule in Laguna Beach. And then also for staging, I know that goes to the next, after approval tonight, be mindful of staging because that is a very small turnaround. So just recommend taking that into consideration. I can approve this project tonight, and I believe it meets the criteria, and I approve Nancy's findings for the design review guidelines and the variance.
MJ?
Yeah, I agree. It's a seamless addition. So I think that the findings have been made for the variance. And thank you, Nancy, for such a clear explanation. I live further away than 500 feet, but I come in that neighborhood a lot and up to see people on that cul-de-sac quite a lot. We have a lot of construction going on. I will be watching this like a hawk. I expect them to be respectful to the neighborhood and not put plywood down when big tanks are going up and trying to avoid ripping up the highway, which they've done in the past, or the street. So I keep an eye on my neighborhood. So just so you know, but yes, great project. Thank you.
Well, I concur with my colleagues for the reasons they state, which I will not repeat. I can approve the project, and what a great house. With all of that said, do we have a motion?
Chair, I move to approve agenda item number 5.8 located at 31112 Holly Drive as proposed by staff.
A second.
Roll call, please.
Landscape?
Oh, and with the condition of approval to accept the late submission for the landscape modification.
I second.
Roll call, please.
Board Member Bauta,
Yes.
Board Member Coveney.
Yes.
Board Member Weil,
Yes.
Chair Pro Tem Gannon.
Yes.
Chair Gibbs.
Yes. All right, that's the last item. Congratulations. And unless there's any further business, we are adjourned. When's our next meeting? July 11?
We will see everybody July 10th,
July
5 p.m. in these chambers.
Till the July 10th. Thanks much.